This special episode of It's All Her in collaboration with One Fine Baby is brought to you by Ergo Pouch, Stalk Sack and Ivy and Rose Co.
Welcome everyone to the very first live recording of It's All Her, the podcast. I am your host, Jordy Lucas. I'm the founder and editor of It's All Her. I was an actress in a previous life and I'm a mum to a toddler. At It's All Her, we are all about making life simpler and better for women. And today, I'm joined by these two beautiful ladies to talk about how we can make your journey into parenthood simpler and better. I'd really like to thank One Fine Baby for hosting us today. It is such an honour to be here and get to chat with you all and, of course, Gemma and Steph. So, Gem, you are a photographer, podcaster, mother of two, and my former Neighbours co-star. This is Gemma Peanut or Gemma Peanut, as you may know her on Instagram. Steph Pase is the queen of organisation, mum of two and business owner. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Jordy.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
We're going to get into all the nitty-gritties of pregnancy, parenthood and beyond. First of all, we do have to thank our sponsors for this special show, Stalk Sack, Ergo Pouch, Ivy and Rose Co., Rochi Lou, VTech, Bay the Label and Rochambeau Australia, and of course all of the brands that have contributed to the goodie bags today, which you will all be receiving. You'll also find some of those contributors at Nano Baby, Gidget Foundation and Snuggle Honey, so you will definitely have to check them out after the show. Now let's get to it, ladies.
I'm excited.
Can we chat a little bit about both of your lives prior to becoming a mum? Gem?
I've forgotten what life was like before children, if I'm honest. I, as Jordy mentioned, an actress on Neighbours, very different life. We moved to LA together. We pursued the Hollywood dream. It was an interesting time, and I will say that being an actor is not conducive with having children. And I reached a point in my life where I was sick of being at the mercy of casting agents, producers, directors, just trying to jump through hoops with my hand up in the air, being like, pick me, and kind of not feeling good enough or worthy enough to be in LA. And so I pivoted. I decided I wanted to start a business, I wanted to work for myself, and I wanted to get back in the driving seat and take control of my life rather than being a passenger of someone else's decision-making. So I did that. I came back to Australia. I started a photography business, which then quickly grew into stepping into the online e-learning space. So now I teach women, especially mothers, how to photograph their children beautifully using a DSLR or mirrorless camera, not your iPhones, high quality, better quality, taking control of that side of your life in your house without having to hire a photographer every single time. So that's what I do now. Along with a few other things, I also have baby journals that I launched with Emma Kate Co. And I will actually be having a stall in the Melbourne One Fine Baby. I haven't got one here because our warehouse is in Melbourne. But yeah, I'm a bit of a Jill of all trades, I suppose.
As am I. Steph?
I was literally about to say that before
I stole your line, sorry.
It's fine. Before I became a mum, I have so many passions. And I really struggled to just choose one. I love organisation, as we know. I love fitness, I love makeup, but basically, way back before I became a mum, after high school, I went to uni and I did journalism and communication in media studies, which was really cool. Didn't love it, but I just kind of pushed through. I was like, got to get this done. So I did that, and then I actually ran my own makeup artistry business, which was really good. On the weekends, I'd do weddings and I'd just make people feel really confident and, like a really beautiful bride. So I did that for years. And then Ryan and I decided it was time to have babies. Mm-hmm. And then after that, basically, I don't know, I was like the first person in my friendship group to have children. So I felt very alone. And after that, I started a blog when Harper was like a month or 2 month old, and it just went off from there. I just started sharing, and it was a really good time to be able to connect with other mothers, because you guys know what it's like. If you've had your first, you're pretty much like stuck under a newborn baby, feeding, pretty much just covered in vomit or spit or something. So I went from there, and then I started Steph Pase Planners just because I wanted to help other mothers and other people to be more organised.
Yeah. And Steph has very kindly given all of you a planner, which you'll get in your goodie bag at the end of the show as well, to help you get more organised, which I definitely need some help with. We had a listener question come in, and I thought this was a really good one. How did you know you were ready to become a mum? This listener loves travel, and she doesn't know if she's ready to compromise. So what were some of the key things that came up for you that made you think, I'm really ready for this? Gem?
Look, I was a keen traveller myself. Loved being overseas, loved being carefree, loved being responsibility-free. So I think it's safe to say that I was probably never going to be ready to become a mum. But that biological clock, it just gets you. One day I caught myself at a cafe just staring at someone's child, like embarrassingly staring at them. And my friends were like, dude, what are you doing? And I was like, that baby is so freaking cute. And I just thought, oh, there it is, ding, the oven's ready. Unfortunately for me, I had a really hard time falling pregnant. It took me nearly 2 years to conceive Rafa, and that's a humbling journey, because you spend your whole life trying not to get pregnant, and then the second you decide to get pregnant,
you can't.
The universe goes, bow. So that was a real ride, and I empathise deeply with anyone who has gone through struggles with conception, because it is testing. But I will say that one benefit of being someone who has struggled to conceive is, I don't say this smugly, but I kind of do, is that you become a more patient mother.
Yeah.
Because you yearned for it so badly. You had to wait, you had to work for it. So when you are doing those hard nights, relentless nights of feeding every hour, and you just feel like you're losing your marbles a bit, you kind of regroup with yourself and you're like, I could not have a baby right now, but I have a baby. So did I answer that question? I don't even know if I did. Did I?
You were talking about the cute baby and things started pulsating.
Basically, I wasn't ready, and then until I was forced to be ready, I guess is my answer.
And Steph, what about you?
For Ryan and I, my husband's just over there, it's Mr. Pase, hello. So Ryan and I, we actually got together at 17 years old, so we were like teenagers. Yeah. So it was really beautiful. We definitely grew together. And for Ryan and I, we got married at 23, quite young. When I look back, I was like, we're just babies.
Yeah.
We thought we knew things, but we didn't. And then, it was one day we literally woke up and I was like, oh, you just felt like something was missing.
Yeah.
And I was someone I couldn't hold a newborn or a baby before I had children without them crying. It was super awkward. It was like trying to hold an octopus. But it was just that yearning, and it just felt like something was missing. And, we didn't travel a lot before we had the girls, but I feel like every experience, Christmas, just every small experience or holiday is just so much more special when you get to see the joy in your little one's eyes and taking them on that journey. Our girls are 20 months apart, literally to the day, both born on the 7th. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, 4 and 6. But, for us, it was definitely just feeling like something was missing.
I think that's so right as well. Experiences will be so different. But you're right, seeing your little ones and seeing them grow and have those special moments are so worth it. Let's talk about pregnancy. Gem, you had a horrific pregnancy. I don't know if anybody follows Gem in here. You suffered pretty badly with both of your pregnancies. Can you give us a bit of a rundown of what happened, if we've got time?
Put it this way. I wanted 3 kids. Now I have 2. Very happy with 2. Don't need to experience pregnancy a 3rd time. I did it the first time, thought, oh, this is brutal. This sucks. But I kind of want to give my kid a sibling.
Yeah.
So I went through it again for her. So glad I did. Very content with 2 babies. And look, who knows? There's other opportunities, fostering, adoption, anything's possible. But I know that pregnancy is not for me. I had HG, hyperemesis gravidarum. So I was in the doctor's room getting anti-nausea injections. But I will say the thing that brought me to my knees is a thing called PUPS rash. So if you haven't heard of PUPS rash, it's quite an unusual pregnancy reaction. I call it being allergic to your baby, where you're covered in a rash from head to toe, and the rash starts in your stretch marks, and then it just spreads. Now, I didn't have a problem with looking like a leper, which I did. What I had a problem with was the itch. It is, I can't even explain it. It's like death by 1,000 fiery ants under your skin. I had to get up 3 times a night and have my mum, I had to move in with my mum. That's how debilitating it was. Dab calamine lotion on my back 3 times a night so that I could sleep. And most people get PUPS rash towards the end of their pregnancy, and a lot of doctors and obstetricians recommend getting induced because the only thing that really ends PUPS rash is to deliver the baby. I got PUPS rash at 22 weeks. So there's not really a lot of options there. But thankfully I had an amazing doctor who came up with a concoction of drugs, which I don't know is safe for a child. But you know what? In order for me to survive that pregnancy, it's what I had to do, and it helped immensely. So that was the nail in the coffin. That was me being done with babies. So pregnancy.
Enjoy, everyone.
Enjoy.
Steph, what about you? How did you find it?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't one of those glowing pregnant ladies.
Neither was I.
Like, you know, and like it would be like the lady next to me, be like, "Oh, you're glowing," and I was like glistening with sweat. That was literally me. I definitely didn't realise how much work it is to make like a foot. Like, it's a lot of work. And I think I just felt like I was hungover every day without the alcohol.
Yeah.
But that was just me. Both pregnancies were very different. Harper, my first, I actually got gestational diabetes, and I got that straight off the bat. So from, I think I was like 7 weeks pregnant, the test you get to find out you're pregnant, they knew straight away that I had gestational diabetes. So the finger pricking every day and all that stuff. But, like for me, I actually have a sibling with disabilities. Mm-hmm. So for having like that healthy baby, that was a massive thing for me. That's all I cared about. Yeah. And if I had to, do the insulin injections, which I did near the end of it, I would do that. To seeing watching my mum and dad have to, all the doctor's appointments, all the things for Adam, my brother, who's got Down syndrome and autism. It's a lot. And as soon as I found out they were both healthy, I was just so stoked. But it was definitely not, I wasn't glowing at all.
Did you have gestational diabetes with your second?
No, I didn't. So that was shocking because they were completely different pregnancies. Willow has actually felt a bit better. And I didn't get gestational diabetes, which usually you do. So they're just so different. And you can never compare your pregnancy to your friends. Like, everyone's completely different. And I think just because you see someone who's pregnant and maybe she's still going to the gym or she's doing all the things, like, don't feel bad because you just feel like you want to be a couch potato. Like, just be a couch potato. Because with Harper, I was obsessed with, like, bread and olive oil. Yeah. And I remember I'd sit on the couch and I just, and Ryan would come home and there'd be like oil dripping down my face. It was so attractive. Lucky you.
And I'm sure there's moments, I definitely had this, where I just thought, I cannot stand being pregnant. And then there was the guilt that came with that as well. Like, I'm sure, Gem, especially with you being so sick, that there would have been moments where you're thinking, I hate this.
Yeah, it was a confusing time, I'll be honest, because taking nearly 2 years to conceive Rafa and then being so horrendously sick, I had thoughts of, I actually don't want this anymore, but I did, but I'm a terrible mum for not wanting this baby. Like, it was a time.
Yeah. Birth. How... Let's go there. I'm sure, some of the women in this first 2 rows are preparing for birth and maybe feeling a little bit nervous. Let's not make you feel any worse than you already do. What would be some maybe bits of advice or something that you wish that you knew about the birthing process that you wish someone had told you?
I have a hack.
Oh.
And it's actually to do more with post-birth. Can I ask if there are first-time pregnant women here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay, let me help you out. So I feel like you're going to know everything about the birth part in terms of you will have researched it, blah, blah, blah. I don't think I can offer any advice on that. Everyone's journey will be different. You will have your own birth preferences, birth plan, yada, yada, yada. What I want to help you out with is your first poo after you give birth.
Which is going to be an experience,
Am I allowed to swear? Probably not, right?
Yeah,
it's effing terrifying. And if you've delivered vaginally, is that how you say it? Vaginally?
Yeah. Vaginally.
You feel like everything's going to come out with the poo. So the best tip is, you know those surfboard giant super pads for your period?
Yes.
You get one of those, you peel it off, you stick it on your hand. Then you put pressure against your vag. And then you can push and relax and release the poo. I know this is TMI, but this is what people don't talk about. I'm not interested in what we all talk about. Like, this is helpful.
Yeah.
And you can relax and let the poo just come and not feel like your uterus is also going to come out with it.
And take the Movicol that they offer you.
Yes.
Please just take
Take it.
laxatives, just a little bit.
Yeah,
just to
soften
help.
that stool, baby.
Just take it.
So that's my tip of the day.
Steph, what about you?
Well, I don't have any more poo tips, but for me, and if you guys follow me, you know that I like to be organised and I like to plan and do all the thing and tick all the boxes. Your baby will do whatever it wants when it comes out. So I made this really beautiful, I remember I made this like birth playlist and it was really like relaxing, like day spa music. And then when it came to like time to push, I was like, put the 90s on, I want some bangers, I need to get some energy. So my biggest tip is, you know, you can obviously have your birth plan, but just be open to whatever happens. And at the end of the day, no matter how your baby gets here, as long as you guys are healthy and happy, that is all that matters. Because I can promise you, a few months down the road, you're not even going to like think about it. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm sure you guys were the same. Before you became a mum, you thought you were going to be this, you know, urethral person that was just glistening and beautiful and did all the good things with the organic food and everything, but you just got to do what you got to do, and you're amazing no matter how your baby gets into this world.
Totally.
Can I share another thing?
Yes.
I do think on social media there's a huge movement about having non-intervention during labour, and I just want to stand here and say I had a very, very positive induction experience. I think there's a lot of fear-mongering around induction. Oh, it makes labour worse and it can actually make labour last longer. I mean, it's bollocks.
Yeah.
Like it was beautiful knowing when I was going to go in and have my baby. On top of that, I also had epidurals both times. Like every first-time parent, we want to torture ourselves. We want to experience labour. We want to know what it feels like to be a woman. And then I experienced labour and I was like, not for me. But something I want to say is, pre-giving birth, I did a calm birth course. And it was wonderful for a lot of things, but there was a little undercurrent tone, conscious or unconsciously, that was, don't get an epidural. And that is fine. If you're someone who's anti-epidural, you go be anti-epidural with your fine self, you know?
Yeah.
But for me, who was pro-epidural, and then found myself in a class where the undertone was, don't get an epidural, the minute I got one, I actually felt like I had failed. And that's a really shitty way to start motherhood, feeling like you failed at the first step. And so I just want to say, if you need intervention, it's there to support you. In the same way where if you get your wisdom teeth removed, you have drugs to numb the pain. And the irony of all of it is that with the epidural, I had the calmest birth ever. I felt all the pressure of labour. I knew when to push, none of the pain. My daughter came into the world with super chilled birthing playlist, very important. Those fake candles, you know, that have a switch and they sort of fake flicker, whatever. I needed to create a vibe. And it was beautiful. And it was calm and pain-free. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
And just
you go.
Just like pregnancy, how I was saying, you know, one person is going to be completely different than your pregnancy. It's the same with birth. Like my best mates, they can just pop them out like no tomorrow. And I'm not like that. I was induced with Harper and I had her vaginally as well. And then Willow, she was a C-section. But yeah, definitely just, as Gemma said, like that the doctors and that are there if we need them. And if you feel like this is too much, go for it. If you want to go through the whole thing natural, do that. Just do what's best for you. Everyone's completely different.
I had a cesarean section. Things were weighed up. My health was declining and I had a whopper of a baby growing inside of me.
And you're so tiny, Jordy.
5'2". And the doctors said to me, look, you can give it a go, but with your heart doing what it's doing and things like that, we really recommend that you just have a cesarean because it's a really good chance you're going to end up in an emergency cesarean anyway. And for me, I thought, if I can avoid that stress and that emergency situation, I want to. I'd rather do that than try and do the natural thing. And I think you're right, Gem. There is a bit of an undercurrent on social media of, the doctors just want to get you in for a C-section because they want to go home or, things like that. And you really need to try and cancel out that noise. And that goes for beyond birth as well. We're about to wrap up breastfeeding week. And I don't know how you two feel about breastfeeding week, but I feel a little bit conflicted that we celebrate breastfeeding so much and not so much the bottle feeders who are up sterilising bottles, who are dealing with that guilt of not breastfeeding when it shouldn't be there. What was your experience with breastfeeding? How do you feel about breastfeeding week?
Well, for me, as I said before I became a parent, I thought I'll be the perfect parent until, you become an actual parent and then you're like, wow. For me, in my head before I had Harper, my first, I was like, no, I'm going to breastfeed till she's 1. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then I actually had retained placenta. So when Harper was actually a great breastfeeding baby, she was just like sweet. But after a couple of weeks, my milk just went away and I crucified myself for it. I thought it was all my fault. I ended up pumping to get one feed. I'd pump 6 hours a day because I just refused to be like, no, this is not what I planned. And I look back and I just want to hug that poor first-time mum because it was just brutal and it really took a lot of the time away with Harper that I could have had. I was just trying to get, more milk and that was just a lot of pressure that I felt, externally back then, but also for me. And as soon as I remember the night, actually, it was probably like 3 o'clock in the morning and I was up all night. There was no milk left. Harper was crying. And then the next morning, Ryan was just like, nah, I'm going to get formula. And just the fact that he made that decision as the father put a massive weight off my shoulders. Yeah. And for me, I actually was struggling with postnatal depression at the time as well. And him making that decision for me, like as a parent himself, it just changed everything.
Yeah.
Just not feeling, especially because I have anxiety, for me, it was just quite, it wasn't for me, basically. And that's okay. I thought it was going to be for me. It just didn't work out, and that's right. And Harper and Willow, they've both been fed very differently, and they're like chalk and cheese. No matter what you do, your baby's going to turn out how they want it to turn out.
So was Willow straight formula fed from birth?
So Willow was an emergency C-section. So they basically said during it, we're going to have to give her formula just because of what was going on.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fine, sweet. I did breastfeed Willow for, I think, 3 months, but it was mixed feeding just for what Ryan and I decided to do, just to help me as well with my postnatal depression. Just me knowing that he would have 1 or 2 feeds during the night really helped me.
It's
just knowing I could get that little
isn't it?
block of sleep. Because at the end of the day, you don't have to do this alone. And I feel like, too, with social media so much now, before social media, mums would actually come together in person. You actually had that community to help you raise your children. But now it's so easy to be so isolated and behind a screen, and you lose that sense of community. And it does take a village to raise a child.
Yes.
The amount of times I would ring my friends and be like, what is this? Like, she's doing this or she's doing that. Just, just don't be scared to ask for support. And, your partner or support network, whoever you've got, don't be scared to ask. Because as women, we are so bad at asking for help. We literally will drown and we'll be like, okay, I'm ready for help now.
We
just
say
don't
we're
wait
busy
till you
like it's a badge of honour. And it's not, because mum burnout is real. Like, lean on the support. If someone offers to bring over a lasagna or whatever to help you out, just take that support. Gem, how did you find breastfeeding?
I didn't love breastfeeding. I feel I sound like that person who's like hated pregnancy. I wanted to love it, but I didn't, if I'm honest. Lucky for me, my daughter self-weaned at 6 months. She fully rejected me. It was like she tasted food for the first time and went, "You've been holding out on this? I don't want your dud milk. Like, I want food." And so then she just went no to the boob, and that was that. My son, boob man.
Yeah.
Boob man since Jan 2020 just would not let go of the boob. He was feeding incessantly. Like, it was exhausting. And I mentally said, well, I stopped feeding Rafa at 6 months. I'll do the same with Iggy. 13 months I fed that child. It was like a ball and chain. I didn't enjoy it, but I will say, now that he's 2.5, I kind of miss it. It's always the way with motherhood.
I miss the milk drunk face. They do milk drunk,
the little milk
so
like
cute.
drip down,
and they do the little facials. Oh,
so cute,
so cute.
We all know pregnancy and postpartum life can wreak havoc on our skin. So make Ivy and Roseco your go-to for natural and effective skincare. All products have been designed to work on the most sensitive of skin types while delivering powerful results. From womb to world, Ergo Pouch has everything you need for uncomplicated newborn sleeping, from baby swaddles to bodysuits. The Ergo Pouch newborn range caters to different sleeping styles, preferences and challenges whilst keeping your precious bundle safe, warm and comfortable. Rochi Loo brings clever, cool and convenient products to parents in Australia and New Zealand. For all your bottle feeding needs, go check out Nano Baby, where you will find the famous baby booby bottle. You need to check that out. It mimics the breast like no other bottle. Bay is the go-to label for modern maternity and nursing clothing. Made for real mums by real mums, the versatile and uncomplicated range will see you through from pregnancy to breastfeeding and postpartum. Bay is effortless, unexpected, and as feminine as she is cool. Rochambeau baby shades are proudly made in Italy and assembled in the United States. They are BPA, lead and latex free and are small parts tested, so are safe for babies. Plus, they are virtually unbreakable. The polarized sunglasses offer 100% UVA BC protection and are available in 5 sizes from baby through to adult. Stork Sack are known for their designer baby nappy bags, travel bags, stroller organisers and organic muslins. Award-winning and perfect for new parents and families. When buying a Stork Sack product, you are supporting the 2 Aussie mums who manage Stork Sack in Australia and New Zealand. VTech is a world leader of age-appropriate learning products. VTech develops innovative educational products that enrich children's development through fun and play.
What was a product that you used in your newborn phase or baby phase that you think that's the one, that is a lifesaver?
For me, it was a portable white noise machine. That was so good. I didn't realise how amazing white noise is. And now, poor Ryan, I still sleep with
I still do as well.
Yeah, I sleep with music on and stuff. Yes. And Ryan's I feel like I've woken up in another country or something. Where are we? But yeah, a portable white noise machine, especially for Willow. She had colic, so in the pram, even in the pram, she'd get really frustrated.
Yeah. But
just having that near her, just the ones with the clip you can get, white noise machine, and definitely it was a portable dummy sterilizer.
Gem,
I'm a practical mum, so I love swaddles. Not going to shit on swaddles because there's so many beautiful brands here with swaddles. But I love me a zip-up sleep suit.
Yes.
Ergo Pouch. I had many of those. At night, why would you wrestle to do a bloody Scout's knot to get your child back to sleep when you can just go whoop, whoop, and you're done? And the same goes with pajamas. Bond's Wonder Suits. That double way zip thing.
And the breastfeeding top
genius.
too. The Bond's breastfeeding singlets. Yes. I lived in them for years, even though I wasn't even breastfeeding, obviously, but it's so comfortable.
for the women who do want to breastfeed, there's a milk, this is so graphic, like a milk silicone thing that as you're breastfeeding your baby, you stick it onto your other...
Hucker baby.
I know that other brands do them as well, and it will catch... Like, these are things that I didn't know about before I had Evie. That when you breastfeed out of one boob, milk will come out of the other one. And so it's really handy to be able to catch that so that you can then freeze it or put it in the fridge for your partner to do a feed. Like, just things like that to make life easier. Get yourself one of those.
That's like real productivity right there.
Oh,
right
I know,
there.
so efficient. Let's talk about gaining confidence in motherhood, because one thing that I can guarantee you all is that you will get so many opinions, so many pieces of advice, and some people will make comments that will shake your confidence as a mum. I know I've had online, especially. You don't even need to have a profile online to, get Brenda from Woolworth's opinion, when you're checking out at the shops. Like, everyone will give you an opinion. How do we sort of find our style and stick with it?
I think it's definitely something that, as a first-time mum, as there's many here, you won't even realise how capable you are until your baby's here. It's like, as I said, before I had a baby, I couldn't even hold a child. And I was like, how am I supposed to be a mum when I hold a baby, they cry because I'm all awkward. And you already are the perfect mum for your baby and you don't need to change. Like, you will know there's this crazy gut instinct, just like when you know something's wrong or when you can feel someone's watching you. That sounds creepy. But you know what's best for your child. And I had a lot of, especially having the blog and stuff, you get a lot of people saying, oh, do this, do that, do this. But I think just at the end of the day, you will always make the best decision for your child. I know Harper, she actually had glue ear. So that's basically, she had like a lot of fluid in her ear and she had constant ear infections. I remember by the time she was 1, she already had like 9 lots of antibiotics. And I was just like, I didn't want to have to give her antibiotics, Like, I was like, no. But then every doctor I'd go to, and even people would say, oh no, it's probably just, she's probably just got she's teething. But I knew in my gut, I was like, there's something wrong. And I'm not an assertive person. Like, if I go get a bad haircut, I'll be like, thank you. Like, I won't say anything. But I went to the doctor and I refused to leave. I said, I want a referral to the ENT. And then I got one and then she got grommets and it was a new child.
Yeah.
But just please stick to your gut. If you need some, if you've got a really good mum friend that you can go to, if you do need some advice, do that 100%. But don't let other people, drag you down and make you feel like you're making the wrong decision for your baby.
One of the things that surprised me most about becoming a mum was the onslaught of opinions, not only from the boomer generation, but your peers in your mother's group. And I remember very vividly when baby-led weaning was a thing and I was spoon feeding and someone was like, oh, have you, and everyone was sending me links, oh, it's all about baby-led weaning now, and oh, your kid's front-facing in the pram already, you're not meant to turn them front-facing until they hit this certain age. And it makes you doubt yourself constantly. But what I've learned through motherhood is that often people who are full of opinions are projecting and covering their own insecurities. I remember with Iggy, people would comment on, oh, he's such a big baby. And I'd be like, they probably had a small baby and was told by the doctors and midwives that your child's underweight and you need to feed them more. So if you can kind of detach yourself and mentally protect yourself and almost put it back on them and go, you know what, I'm not going to take that comment on board. That's them projecting their own shit onto me. Then you can just move on and trust your decisions. And the thing about social media, you'll know this, but you can create an echo chamber of whatever you believe in. So if you believe in baby-led weaning, for example, I don't know why I'm using that as an example, but I am, you Google that shit, it'll keep coming into your feed and just reaffirm what you like. So you just hang out in that echo chamber of yours. If you believe in sleep training, you'll find that information and you'll find those people who are into that. Doesn't mean you shame the people who aren't into that. And if you are into co-sleeping, don't shame the sleep trainers. Like, the other thing that's important and we forget is to check yourself.
Yeah.
We've all been... I was that person who was like, my kid will never have an iPad. My kids have iPads. They have one each, 6th gen, that $1,400 I spent on iPads just so I could get a break. So I think less judgment. The less judgmental we can be on others, the better, I think.
Yeah, zero judgment on yourself as well. Do not judge yourself, and especially those things that you sort of made a vow to yourself that you'll never do. And if you find yourself, wanting to do it, go with your gut. I mean, yeah, iPads are screen time. Can I just be an advocate? I think screen time is somewhat educational, and I think my daughter's learnt a lot from screen time.
100%.
More than what I would teach her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good stuff on there.
And there's a lot of guilt-free screen time products out there now, and
Yeah.
apps for kids that are genuinely educational-led.
it's
Yes.
better than the Teletubbies.
Definitely.
They're actually learning
yeah.
things. And they're like, uh-oh,
Do you know they actually say hello now? They actually speak properly now. Yeah, it was an interesting one.
Progress.
That was pretty bad.
I like that.
Yeah. And wiggles. Nothing wrong with a bit of wiggles. Listener question came through as well. How do you manage your time effectively? Steph, I feel like we
Over
need
to Steph Pase planners.
Well, I actually have a bit of a secret to tell you guys. I'm terrible with estimating time. Ask Ryan. He is like, I will say, oh yeah, I'll do that. It'll take me 5 seconds. And Ryan's like, no. And it'll take me 2 hours. So that's why I am very much so about, trying to share productivity hacks with people, because I am a hot mess. Yes, Steph Pase is a hot mess, truly.
Wow.
I am. That's why I have to write everything down, because if it's not written down, I won't remember. It'll be gone. So definitely just, what was the question again? Time
Management.
For me, because I am very ambitious and bad with figuring out time, if I'm talking about when your kid's not a newborn. This is, let's say, when you started to get into a routine, you're not, trying to survive on no sleep. This is what I'm talking about. Because when your baby is a newborn, do not be ambitious. Just go with the flow, chill. Don't be getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do a workout. Just chillax, please, for everyone.
Yes.
Because I did not do that. My current morning routine that you guys see me if you follow me, I do get up at 5 because I like to have that time to myself. But I did not do that when they were newborn. No way. Not crazy.
No.
So just making sure that, when you finally are in a routine, just give yourself 3 things to do that day. Don't make a ridiculous to-do list. And please, for one big thing for me that changed my mindset is focusing on what I did get done, not what I didn't get done. So if all you did that day was show up, care for your baby, feed your baby, feed yourself, that's a win. Don't be thinking, I didn't get the washing done, I didn't do the dishes, the house is a bomb. I don't want you to be thinking like that. You need to be focusing on what you did get done, because I can tell you now, when your kids grow up, they're going to be remembering the times that you were with them. And all the things and all the cleaning, that can wait. And there is ways that you guys can manage that. But honestly, please just be kind to yourself and focus on what you did get done.
Love it. Gem, do you have anything
Well,
to
I'm
add?
not an organisational queen. However, I've got some opinions.
Yeah, and you've got some stuff going on. You're busy. You're a busy
Well,
girl.
Look, I think one of the best lessons or best piece of advice that anyone gave me when I had a baby is to, in a non-patronising way, learn to empower your husband. Because so many women try and do it all. And women have a habit of going, oh, he's not changing the nappy right, oh, I'll just do it. Because we get control-y, we want it done our way. But what if you, from day one, empowered your husband to do things his way? It might not be perfect how you would do it. They might not swaddle the baby how you like it. But if you take that away from them, then you're carrying more of the mental load, the burden of caring for the child. The thing is, women from day dot, we're the most needed person for a baby, because we breastfeed or we formula feed or we mix feed, whatever it is, a child, a newborn especially, will innately need the mum more. And we innately want to be there more. But you've got to hand jobs over to your partner, because if you don't, they never learn how to do it. Then you have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. And then they do what's called weaponized incompetence, where they go, oh, but I don't know how to do that because you've done it for years.
And that's where the resentment starts
Yes.
to build as well.
And it's really, really important that you work as a team. And it starts with actually women relinquishing control and handing these responsibilities over to their partner, because we don't do it enough.
And it's really empowering for your partner.
Absolutely.
I know Ryan, for example, he's such a hands-on dad, but I knew, from day dot, I was like, I need to let him just figure this out for himself. Otherwise, I'm going to be up shit creek later on. So it really is empowering for your partner to just, they want to be able to be that hands-on parent as well. And it's 50-50 at the end of the day. And yes, we are the mothers, but yeah, as you said, just let them learn their way.
It's a new generation of parenting. I remember when we first had Evie and we would do the mixed feeding. I would either express into a bottle or whatever, and I would go to bed for a few hours, and Henry, my husband, would stay up and feed Evie and bring her to bed at like 12:30, 1 o'clock. So I just had that block of sleep. And our aunties and uncles who are that boomer age couldn't believe, oh, you're so lucky that he's doing that. Oh, you're so lucky he's hands-on.
It kills me when people say
no,
that.
I
get so angry.
He's being a parent. Like, it's his kid too. It's like when you go out and they're like, oh, is dad babysitting? No, he's looking after his child. Like, we need to shift that dialogue.
And it starts from day dot.
Yeah.
It has to. Because you're not doing yourself a favour down the track when your partner is incompetent.
And then wants a pat on the back for changing a nappy.
Yeah. The amount of times I've heard women say, oh, I couldn't possibly leave my kids with my partner and go off on a girls' weekend. They wouldn't know what to do. Well, why don't they? Why have you enabled that? You don't need to. Let them learn how to pack food. I say to my husband all the time, I'll give you an example. He'll call me up and he'll say, Iggy's got a temperature. What do I do? And I go, what do you do, babe? You're an adult too. You're a parent. How many mils of Nurofen do I give him? Read the bottle, babe.
Yeah. How
Seriously.
much does he weigh?
The amount of times that I constantly am trying to educate my partner to be empowered in his own parent-making decisions. Because otherwise you really tie yourself down to the house, to the kid. As someone who really enjoys my own creative endeavours, who loves working, who likes to have a life outside of just being a mum, I had to teach my husband to support himself in being a great parent. And the plus side of that is he has a terrific bond with our children.
Yeah.
They want to be alone with him. They're comfortable, and I'm confident leaving them
that
with
he can
him.
do it. Yeah, totally. Now, I think we've got mostly first-time parents in the crowd, but I do want to just touch on introducing siblings because it might be something of interest for some of our guests. You both have 2 children. How did you go introducing a second one?
Well, for us, so we, as I said, the girls are 20 months apart. So I remember when I had Willow, who's our second, in hospital, Harper was only a baby herself, and it's just crazy. Like, side note, when you have a second, your first now no longer will look like a baby. It is crazy. It's so sad. We were in hospital, Willow and I, and then Harper was obviously at home with Ryan. And we did this little thing where we got her like a big sister present. So when she came to the hospital, because obviously a lot of the tension's going to be on the baby, and she might not be used to that. So we got her a big sister present, so just like some toys and stuff. And we just also made sure during those first couple of months, during the newborn phase, that we both separately, so Ryan and I would have one-on-one time with just Harper, the eldest, just dedicated time. Because at the end of the day, guys, it is a juggle, but it is definitely something you just need to be mindful of. So then, Harper did try to throw balls at Willow's head when I first brought her home. Like, I'd be breastfeeding and Harper's just like, nah, won't have this. But as soon as we kind of made sure once a day, even if it's like 10, 15 minutes, you're just reading the older child a book.
Yeah.
Just that one-on-one time, because it is a juggle, and you are going to have to juggle them both. There will be times when your toddler wants you, but you're like, oh, mummy's just feeding, or mummy's changing. And also, if you're little, the second one, even though Harper was still a baby herself, I would get her involved because she loved playing baby. I got her a little baby doll before I had Willow, and she'd play mummy in the doll, and it was just really cute. So just getting her to help, being like, oh, can you pass me, the wipes or a nappy? And she loved that. So definitely just, making sure you have one-on-one time, maybe having a present for when you give birth to the second one, when the first one comes in. Just make sure you're really mindful of that.
Yeah. Gem?
I have to echo what Steph said about having a gift for your firstborn, and we made a big fuss that the gift for our firstborn was from our secondborn. It was like, Iggy got you this present, your baby brother. It's not from mummy and daddy, it's from them. So that they instantly see them in their favours already. The other big tip that I found really helpful as well is when you first introduce your firstborn to your second, is to have no one holding the secondborn. So I was in hospital. Some people might introduce their siblings at home, but I was in hospital. So Iggy was in, the hospital cradles with a bassinet?
Yeah, the little plastic. Yeah.
Best tip anyone gave me was to have him in his own space, so that Rafa wasn't walking in and I was holding a baby, so that she wouldn't feel this sense of ownership of, hey, that's my mummy and who are you, in her arms. So it was me, my husband, I think my parents were there, my in-laws were there. We were all looking at this new thing that arrived for our family that was separate to anyone. So that was a really helpful tip.
Yeah. Wow, I love that.
So Jordy, when you have your second...
Yeah, I know.
If
we do. Lots of tips. Now, It's All Her, we are all about making life simpler and better for women. Since we're all mums or new parents to be here, what would be a top piece of advice for making the journey into motherhood simpler and better?
I don't know if it is necessarily making it simpler, but just, I think, you always hear people say you can't pour from an empty cup, but it really is true. And when you think about when you go on an aeroplane, they say, if there's turbulence, oxygen mask, you have to fit your mask before you can help others. And it's the same with this. Please just do reach out for support. Don't let it get that bad before you seek help. And because the people around you, then they're not mind readers. They're not going to know if you're struggling. If you need help, you need to ask. And a lot of the time too, a lot of the feelings you're feeling, like for me, I had postnatal depression, and I remember when Harper would want to feed, I'd wince, like I got that bad, and it's because I didn't want to admit it to anybody because I thought I was a bad mum. But I ended up talking to some of my friends, and half of them felt the same, and we ended up getting help, and it was amazing. So yeah, just please look after yourself, and don't bully yourself into being this perfect mother, because you already are the perfect mother for your child.
Trust your gut. It's so cliched, but it's true. And if you start getting an inkling of anything, like, oh, breastfeeding's really hard, but I'm going to persevere, or the fact that my child is not sleeping is driving me crazy, but I'm going to persevere, stop. Just be your own circuit breaker and get the help that you need, because there's help out there. And every single person I know who moved to formula feeding, for example, they punish themselves for 3 months. And the one thing they all say is, I wish I did it sooner. Yeah. So don't wait. Get the help, get the support as needed. Just to second what Steph and Jordy was saying.
I think have your toolkit. Do your all of your first aid. Have a psych on board that you can call. Have your support network around all these things that go into your toolkit, so that when you're struggling with something, you can just be like, okay, I've done that. I've done the first aid kit, so maybe I don't need to be as anxious about the choking and all that sort of stuff, because you know what? I've done the work. It's in my toolkit, and I can go to it if I need to. I think that's probably a really good piece of advice as well. One Fine Baby, thank you so much for hosting us. You can follow It's All Her on socials. You can also follow One Fine Baby. Gem is Gemma Peanut. Steph Pase, not just another mummy blog. Just another mummy blog?
Just another mummy blog. I made it as a joke and now I can't change it. So.
So thank you so much. Hang around for your goodie bags and enjoy this amazing chapter of your lives. You're going to have such a beautiful time being parents. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.